Hello, everybody. This is Ted Williams here, and I am here to talk to you guys today for a few minutes about what is going on uh, with this um, new tax information that's come out around the president. And I want to talk more than just talking about the president. I want to talk about what this issue of taxes is in America. I want to talk about the principle of fairness when it comes to taxing and what that means. And so I want to just give me a second. I'm trying to make sure that the social media stuff is so interesting how it all works. So just give me 1 second to just share this and put a little title on it, and I'll be ready to go. But you know, the New York Times article today or this weekend is fascinating, and it says a lot about us as a society. It says a lot about our current president, but it also says a lot more, I think, about us as a society. So I want to talk about the facts of the case and what this says. Let's talk for a second. So here we go. New York Times reported that for about a decade, the President of the United States, who claimed that he made $434 million in 2018 on a presidential disclosure, so he making about $400,000, or excuse me, $400 million a year, claimed the New York Times has information that suggests these returns that say that the president did not pay taxes for 10 years, about a decade. And then in 2016, when he ran for president, 2017, when he became president, he started paying taxes. And he paid a whopping, here we go, drum roll, a whopping $750 in taxes for 2 years. Now, it's interesting because the president currently right now says this is fake news. However, if you remember back in 2016 when he ran against Hillary Clinton, he said proudly, I do not pay taxes. And he said proudly, I don't pay taxes because I'm smart. You have to remember this statement. I won't forget this statement. I remember when he said it. So I am very inclined to believe that this information is extremely true, not just because the New York Times is reporting, but because the president said it himself. Now, the average family in 2018 paid $9,302 in federal income taxes. $9,302, the average family on an average income of $78,635. So think about this. You have the average family in America paying $9,000 in taxes on an income of $78,000. You have a president who has made $434 million a year, paid nothing, and then paid $750 in taxes. This is critical. Before I start giving my opinions and thoughts, I want to lay out the facts. Now, I want to also tell you guys that when it comes to taxes in America, it is most of the states are states that have a progressive income tax. So the people who make more money will pay more in taxes. Right now, there are 18 states with a flat tax. There are 32 states with a progressive graduated income tax. And Illinois, right now, if you guys live in the state of Illinois, we are on our ballot November 3rd will be a question about whether we will go from a flat tax that we currently have to a progressive tax, or what they call a fair tax, in which people who make more money would pay more of their income. Now, with a flat tax, obviously 4% or 4.9%, whatever the number is, of $100,000 versus $500,000, you're still paying more money. But what the this tax does is it actually ups not only the amount but also the percentage that they be paying. So this is what they consider to be a fair tax, and this is what the majority of states do. Why is this important? Because in principle, people who have more money should pay more for taxes. That's a principle. Now, not everybody believes that or agrees with that. I don't know why they don't, but that is the truth. Now, listen, I'm a small business owner. I'm not making a ton of money in the world. I make enough to survive with a house and cars and kids and things like that. But I don't necessarily want to pay a lot in taxes. I get it, right? Most people don't. Most people are trying to figure out how we can make sure we get out of paying taxes through loopholes, et cetera, et cetera. America has one of the highest corporate tax rates in the world. We tax corporations at 35%. But because of our loopholes, most corporations pay less than 20% in taxes. And so what happens is that all of the tax abatements and the loopholes that are in the tax code that exist because politicians who are being paid by these big corporations write the loopholes into the system. Most people have no idea what happens with tax loopholes. They never come out with some big, oh, we're cutting taxes here. They let it go. And so now what happens as a result is that we don't collect a lot in revenue for taxes from corporations. Now, hear me clearly. Who is paying taxes? About 47% of Americans don't pay any federal income tax at all. And so what happens is, and these people are predominantly the very poor or the very old. And that is the marginalized. They're not paying lots of taxes. So most average working citizens are paying the majority of taxes. 58% here is the number. Actually, people who make incomes, who higher incomes, 58%. Excuse me, over $200,000 are paying 58%. So there is I would suggest across the country in the progressive tax system, there is this idea of fairness where people who are making more money ought to pay more. This is not unusual. This is happening across the country. The people who make more money, individuals, are actually paying a large share of the taxes. This is reality. This is a good thing. This is actually a point. I don't consider myself, fully partisan, but this is a point that conservatives will make very heavily. Like, hey, well, the wealthier people are paying more on income. This is true. However, corporations are not. Hear me clearly. Corporations are not. And this is our major problem in America. As Bernie Sanders was arguing, Elizabeth Warren was arguing, if you just upped corporate taxes by a tiny percentage, tiny percentage, you could fund all the social programs that we're talking about right now. And people, oh, why they gotta pay? Because if you are doing well in this society, would it not be that you are leeching off the society if you're not paying taxes? Now, I love companies like Amazon. I do. I buy my Amazon like everybody else. So anybody who, get mad about this, whatever, I support Amazon too, right? I mean, it's easier to order stuff. But do you realize that Amazon has been responsible for the closing of 30% of all retail stores in the last 10 years in America? Have you been on a mall lately, folks? Have you been to sort of Main Street in America and seen the closed stores? Have you seen even before the pandemic? But look at where the stores are after the pandemic. So what's happening is that our economy is suffering. And most businesses, most small businesses are struggling to survive in this economy, and yet large corporations are making a lot of money. There's this principle called, this principle, I did a video on what's called pandemic profiteering, where there are companies that are making record profits. And after World War II, the federal government pushed forth this idea that if you were making money off of the war in a way that was drastically higher than what you would have been making if there was no war, that you ought to be paying taxes on that additional profit. That has not happened in this pandemic. So you've got companies that know that stores are closed and restaurants are closed, and so they are filling the market gap, which is a good thing. But as a result, they are making record profits while people are struggling to survive and have only gotten one stimulus check since the beginning of this thing, guys. One check. So what I'm saying is fairness. This is about fairness. When we have a president of the United States that brags that he does not pay taxes, and yet he's making $400 million a year, and then calling people on welfare like they're freeloaders or lazy, or, I mean, come on, folks, this is crazy. Those are not the freeloaders. Folks who are benefiting from public roads and public institutions and public safety, those folks are freeloading. Don't talk to me about how you respect the police and how Blue Lives Matter and you don't pay taxes. It's garbage, folks. I almost said something else. Lord, please help me. I know I'm a Christian, but I almost came out with something a little bit different than that, right? But the truth is, guys, is that is patriotism. Patriotism is not standing when a song plays and getting mad because someone kneels and da-da-da. No, it's paying your taxes when you have the ability to do so. That's patriotism. Don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. Don't get confused by symbolism. There's an old phrase that says in politics, perception is reality. Don't get fooled, guys. Don't fall for the okie doke. That perception, though it looks to be real and it looks to be reality, in politics it is, but in life, perception is not reality. Perception is just perception. So the United States, actually, oddly enough, in terms of taxes, we are not a heavily taxing nation. Of the top 35 OECD countries or industrialized nations in the world, our tax rate is about 25%, which is at the bottom of the largest economies and largest industrialized nations in the world. We're not paying a huge amount of money in taxes. And when we do pay taxes, we have so many corporate loopholes and even individual loopholes that prevent us from paying taxes heavily. So the question becomes, are we going to be a society that wants our cake and wants to eat it too? Are we going to want low and no taxes and also want all these services? I'm suggesting that it's not about necessarily someone like myself or someone like many of the people that we're dealing with paying more of their fair share. As I showed you earlier, 2018, average family paid $9,000 in taxes. Average family made $78,000. They're paying their fair share. It's about calling those who can do better to do better. Patriotism, folks, being an American, all of these things, these concepts and these terms have been weaponized, and I would venture to say bastardized. Because if you are not supporting the public entities that we all rely on when we need them, public hospitals, public roads, libraries, the EPA, these things need to be funded. And focusing that they love the country and love good Americans and all that stuff, and are not funding those things, it's wrong. It's just plain wrong. So I wanted to talk about taxes. Like, taxes is like not a super exciting subject, but it is an exciting subject with this New York Times article that just came out. And it really is, it speaks a lot to what we value in this country. I would suggest, in a spiritual sense, that Americans, we worship wealth. We worship the wealthy. We worship celebrity in this culture. So when they do something and they're doing something that is not fair, that is having a deleterious impact on local communities, we oftentimes look the other way because we hope one day we can be there too. And what I'm saying is, ladies and gentlemen, is that it is not right. Our president ought to be paying his fair share. Other people ought to be paying their fair share. Corporations ought to be paying their fair share. And then we can have a society where people don't have to choose between eating food and getting health care. We can have a society where children have a, if not fully equal start, at least we've moved the bar up so that all children have access to quality education in this country, which does not happen, by the way, in the wealthiest country in the world. So I just want us to be thinkers. I want us to have a heart, but I want us to be thinkers as well. And when you hear these numbers and you hear this stuff floating around, guys, please make sure that you're paying attention. Anyway, I'll be back on Wednesday. So I'll probably be on at least 3 times a week now. I got a lot to say. It's voting time. I'm actually coming back on with Burst into Books. We're doing an event tonight, which is a voting workshop actually in about an hour. So I'll be back on with Burst into Books. So go to their website and you can watch the event. I'll probably share it on my page as well. I'll be speaking at Elmhurst College tomorrow on voter suppression. I'll be speaking for the Chicago Church of Christ on Wednesday night as well. I'll be speaking for another organization called You Vote or I Vote or something like that on Friday also. And I think there's something else going on. But this is an exciting season, folks. And we got to continue to push forward. We will be back doing 1619 eventually here. If you want to watch the show streaming, you can check out our website or go to Vimeo and look up 1619. You can actually try to watch the show that way as well. So we got to keep on rolling, folks. We got to keep rolling. And we've got to hold people accountable who have the ability to make our society fair and better for all. That is what this is about. I'm going to do probably on Wednesday, we'll talk about the Supreme Court and what's going on with that and some other things. But I hope this helps you guys. I hope that all of you all are hopeful and faithful and that you're engaged in your communities. Um, Winston Churchill called democracy the worst form of government other than all the other forms that have been tried. So our system is bad. I tell people a lot, and my students, I say this all the time. Our system sucks in certain ways, but it's all we got. And we need each other to make it work for everybody. Anyway, guys, have a great day. Many blessings to you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye.